Hello world! Welcome back to the Dweebatron channel. We will, of course, discuss a few things that have sold recently, but the main topic of this episode will be sandwich patterns. Buckle up! You might recognize these sherbet bowls from when we were talking about Vaseline glass. This is an obscure and uncommon pattern by L.E. Smith called by cracky. The name is a nod to actual crackle glass that has actual intentional cracks inside of it. It usually looks something like this. You can see that these sherbet bowls have a similar look, but on these, the little cracks are just embossed lines on the exterior of the piece that you can feel with your fingers. Crackle glass is smooth to the touch for the most part. In any case, I picked these up for $1.99 each, or $7.96 for all four, and they sold for $45.75. I sold this cool old Shasta root beer can for $8. I just love old cans. I used to find them a lot when I was a kid, either when I was digging bottles or under old buildings or wherever. Not long ago, I found a full, unopened 1960s can of mug root beer at an estate sale. It was all I bought at that sale. As I put it down on the table to pay for it, the gentleman cashing me out commented something like, "Wow, that's an old can of root beer." I couldn't resist saying as seriously as possible, "Yeah, I don't care, I'm super thirsty." The look on his face. I assured him I was only joking, but I'm not sure he believed me after that. Anyway, most of the time when I sell a can, I can estimate when it was made, but with this Shasta can, I was able to narrow it down to specifically 1965, due to the fact that the can has no list of ingredients on the side. They started doing that in 1966, although if you look closely on the front of this can, it does say, "with artificial color and flavor." Yum! Another clue to it being made in 1965 was that this was one of the earliest pull tabs. People were used to opening their pop cans with an opener like those I've been selling, like this Regal Select opener that I recently sold for $6. Anyway, pull tabs were so new that they had to put instructions on the can. See? Lift ring, pull open. And that started with these cans in 1965. This 1950s cigar ashtray sold for $40. This style of ashtray is called a geode ashtray, produced in the 1950s in a massive array of different colors in the Murano region of Italy. There are a lot of lookalikes out there, but the Murano ones are thick, heavy, and of very high quality glass. Usually there will be no bubbles unless they are in a controlled design, and the ground base always has a mirror-like polish to it. I never have a problem reselling these. I sold this 1962 Coleman camping guide and brochure for $12.75. I was going to tell you that anything vintage Coleman will sell well, and that is true. But while I was putting this video together, I checked to see what Coleman products are hot right now, and found that old Coleman lanterns are super hot right now. I'm not a lantern expert by any means, but it really looks like just about any Coleman lantern from 1980 or earlier will currently sell for hundreds of dollars. Even ones like this Sears lantern that someone recently sold. This blue one was made by Coleman, but has the Sears logo on it. $350. Or how about this mint in the box 1972 lantern that someone recently sold for $1,400? Quick, everyone go check your garage. Wait, no, actually maybe you should finish watching this video first, then go hunt for lanterns. I sold a few other things, but I know you want to go look for those lanterns, so let's just get to the sandwich patterns. No, these have nothing to do with the Earl of Sandwich or his magnificent hairdo. One of the earliest and most prominent glass houses in America was called Boston and Sandwich. Sandwich is a small town in Massachusetts, not too far from Boston, which is where the glass house achieved its fame in the early 1800s. By being the first to create a piece of pressed glass. The early pressed glass was rather crude, however, and the company took to using designs with intricate details and lots of stippling in order to hide the impurities. Here's a picture from one of my books showing a tray attributed to Boston and Sandwich, so you can kind of see what I mean. A lot of their patterns looked similar to this, and as a group are often referred to as sandwich glass. Also, glass from this time period is known as lacy glass. There are a few 20th century patterns that look very much like 19th century lacy glass, and a few of these more modern patterns are actually called sandwich. The first sandwich pattern I learned about was the Duncan & Miller version. Duncan & Miller produced fine, elegant glassware overall, and their sandwich pattern is probably the highest quality of the 20th century sandwich patterns that were made. When I'm out glass hunting, I mostly just see it in clear, but they made it in a variety of colors, and the color pieces all sell pretty well. Like Duncan & Miller, Anchor Hawking also produced a sandwich in several different colors. Here is a bowl I recently sold in Anchor Hawking's desert gold colored sandwich pattern. Yet another 20th century sandwich pattern was produced by Indiana Glass, and Indiana also made sandwich pattern glass for tiara. So how do I tell them all apart? Yeah, I don't. I mean, I can tell the Duncan and Miller by the quality, and I can use the color as a pretty good base for what I think it is, but I always double check my sandwich identification theory with the internets to be sure. So to recap, the big common ones to remember are Duncan and Miller sandwich, Anchor Hawking sandwich, Indiana sandwich, and club sandwich. They will all sell through fairly well, with or without tomatoes. Well, that wraps up episode 13. Thanks so much for hanging out here with me. If you thought this was even remotely groovy, I would very much appreciate your subscription. Thanks again, and remember until next time to take good care of each other, and I'll see you then.